And now Biden's DOJ has convicted 6 peaceful pro-life protesters on federal charges after they staged a sit-in at an abortion clinic back in 2021. They now face up to 11 years in prison for doing this.
I sing praise to the King of Kings. Yes, you are my everything.
Yes, singing hymns and peacefully expressing your traditional Christian beliefs can get you thrown behind bars. But remember when the activists swarmed the homes of Supreme Court justices, disturbing a residential neighborhood? The Biden DOJ didn't really care about that. Certainly didn't care much about those pro-Hamas radicals who attacked police officers and tried to break through the White House security fence. No arrests whatsoever. No dramatic manhunt. No one got arrested, period. Paul Vaughn is one of those pro-life defendants who was just convicted. He's joined by his lawyer, Steve Crampton. Paul, maximum penalty of 11 years? You must be a threat to society, my friend.
It seems so.
What is this really all about? Was it trespassing? Are you guilty of a hate crime? Tell us.
Yeah, well, apparently, Laura, I'm guilty of talking with police officers and not getting arrested to the day of the event. That makes you a felon in Joe Biden's Department of Justice. So the others were singing their assault hymns, you know, those violent hymns worshiping God. And I can see where that would be intimidating for, you know, people like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Kristen Clark and others at the Reproductive Task Force there.
Steve, as his attorney, tell us about these charges, and as we think about what happened to this country in the summer of 2020 and the devastation and the death and the property damage caused, all in the name of George Floyd. There were some arrests, but a lot of people didn't get arrested who were doing obviously violent things. What does this mean for our country?
It doesn't look too good for the future, does it, Laura? Obviously, we've got an election coming up, but the fact of the matter is, we never should have had a federal law that prohibits a peaceful sit-in like this to begin with. It was all about abortion back in the Clinton administration. But after Dobbs, the whole purpose for a FACE Act, which was to support the so-called federal right to abortion, has disappeared. So really what you have now is the kind of lipstick on a pig, calling them reproductive health services, like birth control or ultrasound or something of that nature. But obviously these people weren't there to protest birth control. They were there for one reason, and it was abortion. It was a peaceful undertaking, as you note. It was handled locally. They prosecuted locally. And a year and a half later, the Biden DOJ comes swooping down after Dobbs had been announced and now throws the book at them and tags on to a misdemeanor crime, the FACE Act violation, the felony conspiracy charge that carries up to 10 years imprisonment. It's absolutely outrageous.
Paul, conspiracy to commit a violation of the FACE Act to deprive, I would imagine, women of their non-constitutional right to abort their own offspring. Am I understanding this correctly, Paul?
That's right, and not to be missed, there's 2 conspiracy options on the table for the Department of Justice. One that is a misdemeanor, like the charge, the underlying FACE charge is a misdemeanor, and one that makes you a felon with a 10-year, sentence hanging over your head. It's interesting. This law is the same one they used back in the 1880s for the KKK. It's just an utterly ridiculous attempt at the DOJ just to criminalize Christian beliefs and Christian actions in our culture.
Steve, what do you think the sentence is going to be here?
It's hard to say, obviously, Laura. I mean, we've got these people with no criminal history whatsoever. The judge is well aware this was a totally peaceful undertaking. By the way, occurring in the city of Nashville, right downtown, where the civil rights monuments abound for those that conducted sit-ins in the early 60s. So you got heroes on the one hand, and now they're making martyrs out of these folks on the other.